kind of looking forward to this particular follow-up, because this, I think a lot of you are actors because of the opportunity to have the chance to give an extreme performance. I think that little fascination that you have with playing something that's way outside. And of course, mostly what we get is nice little versions of us, you know, that are fairly normal. But every once in a while, there is a chance to play something that is really extreme and has intense demands with it, and they're fun. They're fun. And I wanted to talk about that because I think they entertain the artist that gets to do it. They certainly entertain the writers and directors that get to help create them. And they definitely entertain the audience. Audiences are fascinated by these extreme transformations and when people play these. We don't want it all the time. You know, they are like these little delicacies that we get in certain movies at certain times where people give these extraordinary, extreme performances. And by extreme, I don't necessarily mean, you know, that they're playing something very unlike themselves. What may be extreme about it is the situation that the character is in, or the fact that somehow a normal person is involved in something so not normal that it's an extreme moment in their lives. But it demands us going outside the things that we would ordinarily bring to a part that are ordinary life. They're memorable for everybody involved. I think most actors, what really stands out in their own personal recall of their resume are those parts where they got to do this extraordinarily extreme kind of characterization and work. They are also, while challenging and fun to work with, they also bring with them a load of problems, because it's easy to go over the top, it's easy to exaggerate too much. It is also easy to get completely identified with them. And the one of these that just stands out in my mind, and some of you, most of you are not as old as I, so if you saw this, you were probably taken as kids, but some of you who lived in New York at the appropriate time may have seen the original stage production of The Elephant Man. If you did, it starred a young actor named Philip Anglim. And Philip had just been, and I don't know the story of how he got this part, to tell you, I wish I did. Because, you know, The Elephant Man was, first of all, a giant hit play, an extraordinary drama. It opened up our knowledge of an event that only really a few people knew about. Movies came from it, you know, various things happened because of it. And here was this young actor, I think about 24, 25, who got this part and really threw himself into it. It was an extreme performance because he created all of the deformities that the Elephant Man lived with in actuality. He created them on stage without makeup. They didn't do anything to make it. He did it all with his body and his face, and he created that you believed that you were seeing this fully disfigured, and you all know from the movie of The Elephant Man how fully disfigured this fellow was. And Philip did that all with his body, and he had to maintain that, except in certain fantasy sequences where the character imagines that he's normal. Then Philip got to relax, but the rest of the time, for 2.5, 3 hours, he was in this completely contorted physical thing, and had many, many lines, lots and lots of scenes, lots to do. Okay. Well, of course, what happened is, he won the Theater Desk Award, he won the New York Critics Circle Award, he won the Tony Award. You know, he pretty much cleaned up. He was the actor of the time. Now, do any of you know his name?
No.
Right. That's because instead of that starting a career that should have gone on to other things, and I don't know, I tried to find out before I came in, and I couldn't see that Philip is dead. I believe he's still around, but not much more after The Elephant Man.
Wow.
And I think what happened is, I think he quit. I think he retired. You know? Do you happen to know the story?
I don't know.
Okay, good. I don't know. Okay.
Wow.
Well, we'll all be interested later to find out what happened.
Oh,
But
no, tell us.
no, you're not finding out now because we'll get totally involved in that. But it'll be a little mystery. But I can name for you a bunch of people like that, and so can you. People that you saw in some movie, and they were just, then you go, whatever happened to? Because the thing about these extreme performances is to recover from them, to come back down to normal and still give signature performances without people saying, oh, you're just doing the Elephant Man again, or whatever, is a real challenge to an actor. So while we look for those performances and we love those performances, then we have to somehow fold back down to normal until another one of those comes along in life, if it does, because no actor can have a career just giving those extreme performances, because then we get a little tired of that. So it is a whole thing that one has to work with, because we want to be able to do that, especially when somebody hands us one and trusts us with a piece of writing that really asks for that, you know. If some of you want to see one in a more normal setting, August Osage County is playing in LA now, and the woman who is starring in that has to give a pretty extreme normal performance, because this woman goes from evil to loving to hysterical to angry to calm to, I mean, she's pulling out all the stops, and it's an extreme performance where there isn't distortion and makeup and things that might lend to that. It's just an extreme person caught in this envelope of extreme moments in that history, that character's history. I want you to be able to give those performances because they're fun, and I want you to be able to recover from them after they're done, and that they don't mark your career and stop you from other things that may happen. So that is really what tonight is about, and I hope what you have come to hear about. I want to start, this involves a little story too. I want to start with what you see up above me. This is something that my friend Ryan here called to my attention, because Ryan participates in a class I do on Sunday night that involves people I've worked with for a long, long time. And it's a class a little different than anything else I do, because I do something different every time. We only meet twice a month. And one of the things that I do in that class is ask people to mention anything that they've seen that's extraordinary and that they think they want to call to the attention of their colleagues. And so one night, Ryan said, well, you know, in his little way, he said, there's something I'm not sure that anybody else would, but I think it's pretty neat, and I think you all should see it. It is called JCVD. And I said, what is that? He said, well, it stands for Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now, for me, this involves something. When I stopped being a casting director, I became a manager for about 4 years. And I worked with a fellow that I had gone to college with, who already had a little management company. I quit casting, joined him as a manager. And it was great, because we were friends. I directed him in a production in college. We knew each other really well. It was fun. And we began gathering clients, and we had some interesting ones. And one day, Tom came back to the office, and he said, I was accosted by this kid at, I forget what restaurant, someplace on Sunset Strip that he was having lunch. He said, this kid somewhere heard from someone that I was a manager, and he accosted me, and doesn't even really speak English, but told me he was going to be a big movie star, and I think we ought to meet him. So I think we ought to have a meeting, because he's crazy and he's probably going to stalk me anyway, so I think we ought to schedule a meeting. So we scheduled a meeting with this kid who came in and told us he was a famous kickboxer back in Belgium, but his entire life what he wanted to be was a movie star, and he thought he was a great actor, and he needed a manager so he could become a movie star. And, you know, he had all of these pictures of him kickboxing and stuff, and he looked, you know, these pictures of him jumping in the air and doing these extraordinary things, and I thought, wow, you know, he's clearly skilled at that.